I'm JJ Barnes, and this is Jonathan McKinney.
Hello.
You might know us as writers of the Lily Prospero series, the Shieldmaid saga, and of the upcoming film Hollowhead. And we're doing a series of writing advice. Today we're going to be talking to you about tropes, writing tropes, and whether we should all stop doing it or whether there is room to still use famous and popular tropes, just try and use them in a unique way.
Okay.
Basically, if there are tropes that you are knowing and loving, which have been popular for a long time, such as The Chosen One,
Okay.
love triangles,
Right.
death of a mentor,
Yes.
these are all scenarios which occur in fiction a lot.
Right.
Have they been done to the death, so much so that we should all stop doing it, all of us stop doing it forever? Or is there still a unique way of using these tropes and they are not dead in the water?
Okay. So, do you want to look at individual ones or just the concept as a whole?
Up to you. Go with what you think. Because I've written tropes. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I've written The Death of a Mentor.
Yeah.
I have written A Chosen One.
Mm-hmm.
What else have I done that's tropey?
I think at the moment, you could say that sort of female character kicks butt is a trope.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's a trope because someone sometimes has to kick butt.
Yeah, but I think, you know what I think the trope of strong female character is?
Yeah.
I think the trope aspect of that is that in order to be a strong female character, she has to kind of be written like she's a man.
So, filling a traditionally masculine
Yeah,
role.
rather than filling a traditionally feminine role, the way she is seen as strong is because she tends to be more masculine.
Right.
And whilst I am definitely not a fan of gender stereotypes, and I don't think making characters conform to feminine or masculine stereotypes based on their sex is a positive thing,
Sure.
I do think traditionally this trope is done by the only way a woman can be seen as a strong female character is if she is made masculine. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that's the tropiness of it.
Right. I mean, to me, the idea of tropes, it's sort of, I personally feel like this is more for commentators and critics than storytellers. I think,
Really?
yes, I think being aware of them and of the conversation around fiction is important. But to me, I think if you have an idea and it's a good idea, then you go with it. You tell your story.
I agree. As I say,
And-
I have done tropes.
Yeah.
So
I think what I'm saying is that I think that, yeah, you want to be aware of how an audience is receiving stories so that you can play with their expectations based on what they know. And so if you signal that a trope is being used or a trope is coming, whether it's killing the mentor or what's another one that you mentioned?
Love triangles,
Love
The
triangles.
Chosen One.
Chosen one. If you are aware that there is a general sense that people are becoming tired of it, then if the very fact that you're aware of that means that your writing of that trope is going to be different than if you thought people are eating this up. Because if you thought people are eating it up, you'd just do it straight down the line and say, there's a chosen one, there's a prophecy, and he has come to save the world. And
what if then you know it's a trope because you've seen it and you've read it? You might love Buffy the Vampire Slayer and be like, I want to do a chosen one. I want to do a chosen girl.
Female girl kicks butt. Yeah.
I want to do that sort of story. But you're not aware fully that people hate it.
Yeah.
But you know it's a trope.
If people hate Chosen One, then Buffy the Vampire Slayer isn't for them.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I suppose
that's okay.
I guess that's the thing. I mean, I have done a chosen one. I think personally, because we've talked about Death of a Mentor.
Yes.
How you can do this. I'll put a link to Death of a Mentor here. Because we did a whole video on that one. So I won't cover that too deeply now. But the point is, you can do it. But I think you're right. You have to be aware of it, that it is a trope. So you have to find ways of doing it differently. or just embrace it fully. Just do it as a completely traditional death of a mentor. But if you layer your story completely with tropes, so if you say your story has got both the chosen one and the death of a mentor, and give me some more tropes, love triangle, and I don't know, but you've got all of these things that people have seen loads of times before. They've seen The Matrix, they've seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they've read I don't know, but the point is they've done it all. They've seen every single trope, so nothing in your story is original. It is just a rehashing of old ideas. I think that's when you're going to have a problem. And also, I think if you don't try and put a unique twist on it, as I say, Mermaid's Curse, my book Lily Prospero and the Mermaid's Curse, has a chosen one in it. The one the mermaids have been waiting for. Yes. The one they know is going to come and save them, and they are waiting for this chosen one. And of course, the book is Lily Prospero and the Mermaid's Curse. So it's set up for, and I'm not going to give too many spoilers. I mean, I suppose I am automatically doing this. But the point is, it's all set up for Lily Prospero to be the chosen one. There is a chosen one in this book. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but it's not Lily. Right. So that's a massive spoiler. I'm like, if you want to read it, But the point is, it's set up for the chosen one to be predictable. It's set up for it to be Lily Prospero. She was the subject matter of the first one, getting the powers. Sequel comes along, there is a chosen one. Everybody in the book is expecting the chosen one. Well, it's not even the chosen one in this. It's like there's one they're waiting for, but it's essentially a chosen one trope to be Lily, and it's not. So I think you can do it if you find a way of doing it that isn't just, oh, okay, yeah, we get it, that's the chosen one, carrying on with your story. I think then it can become quite tired and old because it's been done so much. So yeah, I do think you can use tropes still, but I think, you have to be careful, because you're right, in one way, if people don't like that trope, then don't read that book or watch that film, and that's fine, It's not for you. But also I think if you are writing something that audiences in general are just sick of, vampire in love with a high school student, trope done to the death, like what is there left to do with that trope now? I
mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say that there's much to do with that at all.
I mean, we've had Angel in love with Buffy, we've had Edward in love with Bella. Well, this is something that has now been done so much that if you want to write a vampire falls in love with a high school girl book, my advice to you would be don't write a different story, because...
Or if that's in there, then maybe write it, get it out and move on to something else.
Yeah,
afterwards.
because I don't think you're going to find an audience who's still looking for that. I think that need has been met.
Maybe there is more. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to read that book if you write it, probably.
Yeah.
But somebody might, and I know what you're saying, but I think the more that we look at tropes as being sort of too important in terms of
avoiding.
Yeah. And letting the idea that people who read stories are telling us what we're allowed to write about.
I don't think it's
using language like that's.
But I think if you want to sell books,
of course,
be aware of what your audience wants.
Of course, but
you can write anything you want, right? Go write, and you know what? You might find your audience if it is like an overdone trope. You might, because there's always going to be people who want the vampire in love with a high school girl book. That is still got an audience. Like, people still watch Twilight and read Twilight. This isn't a thing where you'll never find an audience, but you might find a smaller audience than if you went for something less tropey. So I suppose it depends what matters to you. What matters to you more? Writing that trope that has been done and done in the same way, but you love it and you want to write it, more power to you. Go write it, because you're right. Audiences can't dictate to us what we write.
No.
But equally so, it depends what you're writing for. Are you writing just... And actually, it's a video we're going to be doing. I've got it on my list. If you want to write that book, write it, but you're likely to find a bigger audience if you do something different.
And that sort of speaks to knowing your audience, essentially. I mean, you should know your audience and you should write for them, but some people are not part of your audience and they speak as though they are.
That's true. You are. To be fair, you are right with that as well.
And so then you can get sucked into trying to please people who aren't appreciating your work anyway.
I got a 3-star review once from someone who said that they didn't like that Magic Rabbit was about high school. I'm like, it's YA.
Sure, yeah.
What if you don't like books about high school? Why pick up a YA book? If you're not the audience, that's fine. You don't have to be my audience or your audience. You
Absolutely.
can be, but I agree.
It's just about yes, knowing your audience is important, and I don't know if your loyal audience or the people who would be your loyal audience are likely to throw. I mean, there's so much online of telling writers how they have failed because of choices made, and it's not failure. Like there's not.
I agree.
But
I do think I still stand by the idea that if you want to use a trope that you love, whichever it is, try and use it in a new way, and try not to write a book that is almost entirely made up of old tropes, because if you want to be new and creative and original and interesting, you have to actually be original and interesting.
If you really love, say, science fiction, so robots that are created by man and then the robots become sentient, blah blah blah, you've seen it a million times. If you really love that, can't get enough of it, every iteration, whether it's iRobot or Big Hero 6, right? Or whatever. If you love that, you're going to want to write it. And someone out there is tired of it. If you listen to that person out of the trope of man creating robots, then you're going to, oh no, maybe I'm wrong. But you're not. You just love something and want to create based on that love.
Yeah, true.
And so if you do, you got to find people like you who don't think of it as a trope. They think of it as a form of storytelling that they love. And so, I think you could be incredibly derivative of Philip K. Dick or Isaac Asimov or whoever the, famous sort of science fiction writers are. I don't know if Philip K. Dick is. I'm not.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay. You could be very derivative if that's all you've ever read. You could just do basically a copy of what they've done, and then someone might say, these tropes, blah blah blah, and you can take that on board. Maybe share the work with someone who's also very familiar with the genre. I think we've talked about that before.
We have.
So that they'll be able to spot areas where you might be sort of cribbing by mistake or with unintentionally, just because that's the only language you've learned in terms of your storytelling mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. I absolutely do. And I think that's basically the same as I'm saying.
Right.
You can love the trope. As I say, I have done them. I have no shame in this, because Magic Rabbit, I did Death of a Mentor. Memory's Curse, I did the chosen. Emily is a chosen one. I completely stand by these decisions. I wouldn't change them. I'm very happy with them, and I love what I did with them. Equally, so I knew they were tropes.
Right.
So I didn't go in blind. I didn't go in thinking, oh, this is like...
This is going to shock people.
Yeah, it's more... This is a form I love, a form I want to use, but I'm going to try and be clever with it, because I don't want it to feel tired.
Yeah.
I want to use it, but in a way that works. So I think you're saying the same sort of thing. Be aware of the tropes. And if you still want to use them, then go ahead. Just be aware and try and do it cleverly, because it could just become old and tired.
Yeah, the more thought you put into the process, the better the quality, the material will end up being.
Yeah, I agree.
And that will be a richer experience for the person reading your book. And ultimately, you want that person to have a good time, so they associate your name with good time and want to come back. And they won't necessarily have that great time if you don't put any thought into how to
be original,
how to use ideas that have been used many times before, because then they'll associate you with unoriginality as opposed to interesting creativity. So that's my take.
So thank you very much for watching our video about tropes and whether they should be left to die the death.
Wow, nice.
Thank you. If you could like this video and subscribe to our channel, you will show us what you enjoy, what you like, and we'll be able to keep growing and making sure that we do things you want to see. What else? If you have any tropes that you love, tropes that you've seen done a lot and you love them, comment down below. And if you are writing a story right now using a trope in your work in progress, tell us what it is. Tell us why you're using it. Tell us how you're doing it to make it new, because that would be cool to see. Like, we'd love to know what you're writing.
And don't get scared by, oh no, maybe I was writing a trope and I didn't know it, I better stop. Don't stop.
No.
Carry on going. You will get better and better and better the
Well,
more that you do it.
Absolutely, I agree. We'll put links down below to all of our work, everything we've got coming up. I'll put a link up here to all the stuff we've got going on with Hollowhead, the film that we are in production on now. You can probably hear the dog, who's...
She's having a lovely time.
She is. She's having a snarl. Just ignore her. But yeah, you can catch up on what we're doing with Hollowhead, and we'll be able to show you some behind-the-scenes stuff and interviews with the characters, etc. So come back and check in with us again soon. Bye.
Bye.